Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Just want to make sure everybody's awake. Welcome to the First Parish Church of Stone Acton, a welcoming and spiritual congregation. My name is Hector Constantzos, and today I stand before you as a member of the Sabbatical Committee, with a quick reminder that Cindy's sabbatical starts in January, and there's a few other members of the Sabbatical Committee, Jeanyne McKnight, myself, and I don't see anybody else, but we're here to answer any questions about the sabbatical, and we'll be here to help out during the sabbatical. For those visiting FPC for the first time, we welcome you. Please let us know you're here by filling out one of our visitor information cards in the pews and hand it to an usher, drop it in the plate, or hand it to Meg, our welcoming coordinator, who is somewhere. But if you see her, just hand it to her. Our minister, staff, and board are listed on the front of the order of service. Please feel free to ask me or any of these people for more information. If you would like a large print order of service or hymnal or an assisted listening device, please ask our ushers. Our assisted listening devices are small radios. Anyone is welcome to use one of these to listen to the service from another space or in and around our building, but you can't tune into any local radio stations. You have to listen to the service. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall, which is down the hallway, down the stairwell or the elevator, and then back into the big building. Or in the breakout room if you're online. I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements in our order of service and also invite you to check out our webpage for more information. You can also sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. And in particular, I'd like to mention that this Friday is our monthly guest table dinner. We can always use help and volunteers, and we can also use some additional help in part of the management team. So if you're so inclined, feel free to join. And I now invite Russ Hart, who has an announcement about the Southeast India project.
Good morning. I'm Russell Hart, and I'm here on behalf of Bob and Vicky Tabor and the Southeast India Project. Most everyone knows about the work that they've done in Southeast Asia, but we have new members, so I'm here to tell the story so everyone knows. 20 years ago, a tsunami hit the southeast coast of India, an event that wiped out the entire coastal villages and resulted in the loss of thousands of lives, including many, many children. FPC congregant Bob Tabor immediately responded by traveling to India and working with several NGOs to lend aid in this humanitarian crisis. Later, he was joined by his wife, Vicky. From having made several trips myself with Bob, I know that Bob and Vicky are responsible for lives being saved, whether it be from helping to build roads to remote villages and delivering rice to starving families, or providing hope through the financing to build schools, or through microloans to Dalit women who are now able to support themselves and their families from organic farming or learning computer skills, or the purchase of cows to supply milk to their families that can be sold in the wider community. Bob also made a contact with an orphanage of Dalit children, first Mercy Home and then Wide Home for Children, which resulted in a collaboration with FPC families. This has been enormously popular on both sides, and I have numerous photos of these kids on my refrigerator, which I'm happy to display. It has become, however, difficult and expensive to put together these friendship kits. We used to put toys and paper goods and so forth, but it becomes really heavy. We used to have 5 50-pound boxes that we would use, 5 50-pound boxes that we used to transport to the orphanage, which required many hours, and I mean arduous travel. We would like to make it easier by collecting the usual photos of families and individuals, plus a year's worth of vitamins in large plastic bottles, and a year's worth of toothpaste as well, just as we did last year. We will attempt to pick up more fun items once we're in India. We would also like it if you include letters from your children and adults in which you can tell a little bit about yourselves and receive back a letter from a child in India. This did not go as well as we wanted to last year, and we learned that we need to oversee the response while we're actually in India. Receiving back a letter and a photo from India could spark meaningful conversations around the kitchen table. I'm going to begin today collecting. I'll set up a table during coffee house, and for those who may have seen the notices previously, you can drop them off, and we'll be collecting until the 5th of January. Hope to see you then. Thanks.
When I was an intern minister many, many moons ago, it was before really ministers had as much of an internet to rely on, and my internship supervisor had this bound notebook that he kept all sorts of opening words that he had written and collected from other people over the years. And so every so often I like to pull that back off the shelf and pull one out of there. And these are his words, Andrew C. Kennedy, or Drew Kennedy. Ready or not, it is December, and the holidays are inexorably approaching. We gather this morning to seek the deeper meaning of our holiday motions among merchants and neighbors, friends and family, that we may know the peace, joy, and love of the season. And our chalice lighting words and Advent candle lighting words are altered from words by Jeanyne Slettom. The season of peace is coming, and so as we light our chalice and our Advent candle, the candle of peace, on the second Sunday of Advent, we express our longing for peace, for healing, and the well-being of all creation. We light this candle knowing full well that peace is elusive and that in some parts of the world it is almost completely absent. In this season of Advent, we open all the dark places in our lives and memories to the healing light of peace. Our opening hymn is number 226, the Advent hymn, People Look East. Please rise in body or in spirit. And please join in our covenant and affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. My apologies for leaving a name in the old template. This isn't Johanna, this is Hector again.
Sorry for the disappointment. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded territories of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag peoples, as well as honoring and recognizing the Black and African people whose unpaid and forced labor built this country and our state. We celebrate and work in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and people of color organizations leading the movement for our collective liberation in line with our UU values.
And now I invite forward our Director of Religious Education, Rayla.
Good morning. I would like to invite any children, youth, or adults that are young at heart. I always invite you, but you never come to join me up front. I saw that. I know that meant you wanted to join me.
Oh, this is going to take a minute. We've got a lot of kids up in the balcony today.
Oh, yeah, they are. And I'm going to have you all kind of sit more in front of me today.
They keep on coming.
Okay, so today I am not actually Rayla. I am the spirit of the holidays. And when it's the holiday season, sometimes really good things happen, right? What kind of things happen this time of year? Eve? Christmas? Haven? Hanukkah? Lily? William, what? Thanksgiving. But during the holiday season, is everything always like great, or is sometimes something might happen that's not so great? Yeah, like you go to Thanksgiving and your favorite thing is not there, right? And then your family says they want you to try the Brussels sprouts that are mixed with the macaroni and cheese, right? So, as the spirit of the holidays, I have brought 3 gifts. Now, the first gift comes from our Christmas celebration. We are doing a gift exchange with our family, and everyone gets 1 gift when someone picks their name. We have written down all the things we love, and we've written down the only thing we don't like are things that are up close to our neck. Please don't buy me a turtleneck, right? So you go, you sit down, everyone gets their 1 gift, and you open yours. And you have gotten a scarf. Not only did you get a scarf, you got, and what is it called? Infinity scarf. And now you have double the thing around your neck that you did not want. Oh no. Are you happy about that? No, that wasn't really a good thing that happened, right? This wasn't, the best gift. You go to another event and you're like, oh no. Is it going to be like the last event? Am I going to get something else that chokes me? This box looks a little shinier, doesn't it? What do you think we might have gotten this time?
Santa Claus.
We have Santa Claus in a box? No. Oh, but Santa Claus might have brought this? Yeah, okay. We got, it's not Santa Claus. We got AirPods in in a sparkly little case. Yay! Are we happier than our scarf that chokes us? Yeah. But even if we get something that we like, or something that we don't like, or we have to eat the macaroni with the Brussels sprouts, right? We get to decide how we are going to celebrate the holidays, right? What spirit of the holidays are we going to bring? So this year, I want you all to bring fun and joy and sparkles and bubbles, and they're not coming out. There they are. And so I have brought bubbles so you all can bring joy and bubbles and sparkle and fun to your holiday season. Wait, that one doesn't have a thing. And now Eve is going to, oh, probably should put the cap on the bubbles.
Do you want bubbles?
Do you want bubbles? And actually, I don't like things on my neck, so.
Me neither.
And yeah, true story. Woo! I bought it thinking it was just one of those long scarves, and then got home and was like, oh no. So Eve is going to help us light our candle today, our chalice. You all ready to march out with Eve? Okay.
Our love surrounds you.
Our love surrounds you.
Here joy has found you.
Here joy has found you.
Let joy abound freely. Go in peace. Let hope.
Let hope abound freely. Go in peace. Our love surrounds you. Here joy has found you. Let hope abound freely. Go in peace.
Hearts. Our love surrounds you. Here joy
Surrounds you.
Let hope abound freely.
Let hope abound freely. Go in peace. I invite forward Kate Hart, our lay minister, to share those joys and sorrows that we've received by email. Our lay ministers are people here who help me out with the pastoral care of this church. They're people who you can reach out to have a conversation or a cup of coffee with, to share your troubles with or share your joys with. And so that's why we have them lead the joys and sorrows portion.
Okay, with that, we'll light our two final candles, one for those experiencing the cost of war, and a final candle for the joys and sorrows left unspoken but are in our hearts.
As we hold all these joys and sorrows in our hearts, let us listen to and go into a time of personal prayer and meditation with these words titled Holiday Season Prayer by Wayne Arneson. Spirit of life, the beginning of the holiday season is filled with temptations to conspicuous consumptions and pleas for generosity. The contrast between the values represented by this time of year and our ability to fulfill them remind us how great the distance can be between aspirations and actions. This month has begun with the observance of World AIDS Day, and Human Rights Day follows this weekend. They remind us of those at home and abroad who are imprisoned by disease, poverty, and discrimination. The messages of liberty, dignity, and joy that comes with Hanukkah and Christmas are hard to hear unless they are conveyed by gracious acts of outreach to those who suffer. Our prayer this day, then, is that we may be gentle with ourselves and with others as we do our best to navigate through the tricky shoals of December. May we avoid being so distracted with our own problems and duties this year that we forget the wider web of life of which we are a part. May we go about our rounds of preparations and festivities with a light heart and with boundless patience. May the dissatisfactions that are part of our lot be our companions, but not our masters, as we cross the holiday threshold. And may all the joys of the season be ours this time around. Blessed be, and amen. Blessed be. Amen. Our next hymn is my very favorite Christmas hymn. And so I always have to use it at some point in the Christmas season, but it's not really a Christmas Eve type carol. So I always find a different Sunday in December to use it. But I'm very opinionated about my favorite hymn because I do not like the tune that they've set it to in our hymnal. And so I insist that it be sung to this other tune, which is why it's printed in your order of service. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote this in a bleak time of life. His wife had died from a fire catching hold of her skirt when she was writing by a candle, and his son, against his wishes, had gone off to fight in the Civil War. And so in this time of bleakness of heart, of discouragement and despair, he heard the words of God. And he wrote this hymn. Please rise in body and spirit and enjoy singing I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day.
With
You know, when I told Chris this was my favorite Christmas carol, he was like, oh, I hate that one. But it turns out it was the tune he hated. And when we put it to this one, he loves it too.
I'm going to steal your stool if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Oh, it's so nice to sit. I always inevitably, even it doesn't matter how much you adjust the microphone, I end up leaning over when I'm speaking into the mic. So this is nice. My name is Jeanyne Edgerton. For those of you who don't know me, my family's been coming here for about 11 years now, I think. And Jeremy and I have two boys, Benji and Duncan, who are now 15 and 17 years old, believe it or not. So we've been here for a while. And I will tell you just at the start here, my original idea, you'll be happy to hear that I abandoned, revolved around a metaphor in which I talked about my fantasy soccer team and how the sum can be more than just the individual parts on the team. But we won't talk about soccer today. I've gotten enough of that in my life. Instead, I'm going to tell you why I love choirs. So hang with me for a minute because it's probably not what you think. I have been singing all my life. I used to sing in the backyard when I was playing by myself. I would sing in bed at night when I couldn't sleep. And my brother would come in and yell at me because I was too loud and he couldn't sleep because I was singing. I would sing as I walked along the street, when I was coming back from the bus stop. I just love to sing. I am a good singer, but I am not amazing. My voice is not super loud, contrary to what my brother said. And it doesn't really stand out. It kind of blends, really. But I do love to sing, and so I sing. But after college, there was a long time when I didn't really sing very much. We moved to Massachusetts and started attending the UU Church in Belmont, and I auditioned for the choir there. So I wasn't new to singing, but I was new to singing in such a serious choir. They have a serious choir. And they sing serious classical music. And I love singing serious classical music, but I don't really listen to it, so it's not something that is familiar to me. The music was much more intricate and more challenging, more technical than I had ever encountered. And some of the people in that choir were professional or semi-professional singers, so it was intimidating. But over time, I learned something really important. I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to sing every note perfectly. When I needed to practice a section more or to step back because this part was just a little bit out of my range, someone else was there to fill the space. They had my back. When a long phrase required more breath than I had, we staggered our breathing so that the music never stopped. And it didn't matter that my voice didn't stand out. I didn't have to sing a solo. And in fact, blending was a special gift in and of itself. It was really useful. And to me, that's the beauty of a choir. We support one another. I say we. I'm not actually even in a choir at the moment, but one day I'll be back. We support each other, and we make each other better. Each of us brings our own voice, our own talents, strengths, and yes, even our limitations. And together, we can create something that's far greater than any one of us could create alone. So, to me, a church community is a lot like a choir. Each of us brings what we have, and together, we create something that's extraordinary. Sometimes we might step forward to lead or take on a big project, and other times we step back, trusting others to carry the tune. But every person, whether you're singing in the choir, attending a service, joining a group, helping with an event, or simply showing up, every person contributes, and every voice matters. And just like in a choir, that sense of support gives us something powerful. It gives us the grounding to feel secure and to know what we're working towards. And it also gives us the freedom to go for it, to push ourselves, to soar. In other words, to connect to our theme for this year, it gives us strong roots and it gives us wings. In our 11 years here at FPC, my family has experienced this firsthand. Our kids have participated in every RE program, from First Chalice to Club UU, which is now Friday Friends, to Coming of Age, to OWL, and they are leaving with strong roots as they step into adulthood. And Jeremy and I have been part of Sunday worship, search committees, small group ministries, and so much more. And my time as president gave me a real appreciation for the incredible breadth and depth of what we accomplish here together. Through this community, we support each other in moments of needs. And we also support others, families seeking asylum, mothers and children in shelters, so many others. We take action on social justice issues, and we inspire one another, and especially our children, to live out our values in the wider world. And in times like these, there are so many ways that our UU values are needed in this world. But none of this is possible without the foundation that we create here together. And to keep this community vibrant, to keep our programs possible, to keep our building intact, we need each of you. We need your voice. We need your presence. We need your unique contributions. And yes, we need your financial support. Whatever you're able to share, it all counts. Jeremy and I have chosen to pledge monthly for several years now because we deeply value what this community means to us and what it allows all of us to do in the world. So as you reflect on stewardship this year, know this: you are needed and you are appreciated. Whether you sing loudly or softly, your voice is vital. And together, we can continue to create something extraordinary, something that none of us could achieve alone. So thank you all for being part of this shared journey, and let's keep building something beautiful together.
Hello, it's me again. Tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. As you notice, the plate sharing is going to FPC's guest table, and I'm here to tell you a little more about guest table, or remind you about it. Guest table started over 10 years ago. It was an idea brought to us by Mark and Troy, who I don't see here today. And it was going strong originally when it started. We had started it to address food insecurity in our community, but it has morphed into more of just a community supper. Regardless of means, anybody was welcome to join and just have and share a meal with the surrounding areas. We serve meals to the people of Stowe, Maynard, Hudson, Acton, and many surrounding towns. Some have even come as far away from, let me try that again. Some have even come to us from as far away as Leominster. When we first started, we were serving 70 to 80 people, and then COVID hit. And COVID took its toll on us. We tried to keep it going intermittently during COVID, but then we started again back up in the late fall of 2021. Our numbers have been growing. They haven't reached anywhere near what they were before COVID, but we're actually now up to averaging 35 people a month. The management team consists of our most recent new members. Susan Avery and Ellen Kisslinger are our kitchen managers. Rebecca McNeil is our public relations person. Myself, Kathy Aberly, and Troy Liston are part of the original founding members and original management team. Mark Hanig has kind of stepped away from helping to manage the affair and is still focused on being the greeter for this dining hall. We'd love your contributions. We thank you for what you've donated. We also really need your volunteer effort. This is not possible without people, not just from FPC, but also from the surrounding communities. We've had Girl Scouts volunteer. We've had people from other congregations, even from Open Table and Maynard, come and volunteer. So we can really use all the people power you can find, friends, family. We also could really use more people on the management team. So if you're looking for something to do, please come talk to us. We'd love to have you join us. Thank you.
Just as the choir is coming up, I'd like to just give a mention to our Vespers service next Sunday evening at 5 p.m. We've been working really hard. We're singing some gorgeous music. We're trying things in 8 parts. We usually only sing things in 4 parts. But we have, I just counted 35 people singing at the service, so we have plenty for 8 parts. So it'll be really spectacular next Sunday at 5 p.m.
If you weren't at last year's service, it was really beautiful and glorious. I mean, I was like weeping with beauty. It was so lovely. And really thanks to Chris for the hard work of putting that service together. I do very little of helping select readings, but and today we're delighted to have this fantastic thing that Chris arranged of a mashup of Mr. Rogers and Christmas Carol together here for our anthem.
It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you, not your toys, they're just beside you. The way you are right now, the way down deep inside you, not the things that hide you, not your toys, they're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you. It's you.
Fred Rogers and pre-Raphaelite poet Christina Rossetti. Who knew that they would go so lovely together? This time of year can be a hard one for a lot of people, and maybe even more so for a lot of Unitarian Universalists. It's not uncommon for UUs to tell me that they have a love-hate relationship with Christmas, or a complicated relationship with Christmas, or just that they really don't like Christmas. In fact, let's see, how many of you unequivocally love Christmas? A bunch. How many of you have a complicated at best relationship with Christmas? A bunch, yes. I think the reasons can be varied and complicated, but 3 of them are the most common, I think. One is that this time of year, with its emphasis on family, can be hard for those who have recent losses of family members, or who are estranged from family, or separated from family, or where there's other family complications going on. That's a significant issue. It deserves its own time, a blue Christmas service, as it's sometimes called, which I've occasionally done. The other 2 issues, which are the ones I'll be addressing today, are the fact that Christmas has become such an incredibly commercial time, and that it's pushed on us from like Halloween on, and the fact that the theology of Christmas is something that we Unitarian Universalists struggle with. We have disagreements with the Christmas story, how it gets interpreted, how it gets used. And those 2 come together in the so-called war on Christmas that we hear about so often at this time of year. So let's start with, and I'm only going to talk briefly because it's already 10:57, but let's start with the commercialization of Christmas, because that is certainly rampant. And despite the fact that we like to tell ourselves, as it says in The Grinch, that it comes without ribbons, and it comes without tags, and it comes without packages, boxes, or bags, the overwhelming message of our media is that it does not. Christmas is all about the purchase of the latest items. In fact, I opened an article on the internet because I was thinking about the fact that I wasn't at the Hygge event last night. And I opened an article on HyggeInspired.com titled, "How to Get Away from Commercialism During the Holiday Season." And as I scrolled down this surprisingly simplistic and short article, which had only 3 suggestions of get off your phone, honor family traditions, and take the pressure off yourself, as I'm scrolling down, I hit an ad, of course. Here are the 29 coolest gifts for Christmas this 2024. How do we combat the commercialization of Christmas? Well, the Hygge-inspired people are right that if you have family traditions in a healthy environment, diving into them can be a wonderful thing to do. And of course, we have some wonderful church traditions to engage in, from our Hygge event yesterday to our cookie exchange on Tuesday, which is a wonderful non-commercial evening of food and song and poetry and story, to our Christmas Eve services themselves and our Vespers service next weekend. And the local and civic events, from church fairs full of handmade crafts to tree lightings and carolings, these are some of the really beautiful things of the season. The commercial crassness will never truly be gone, even when you engage in these things, but turning off the television, staying out of the stores, taking the season to engage with the people you love, doing the things you love in this season, that does help a lot. The other issue, the theology of the season, the story behind the holiday, that's a more complicated issue. So I want to tackle it just briefly, our complicated relationship with the Christmas story, which has multiple layers. First, there's the question of what's true about the story and what's been added on. Second, what is the story truly trying to tell us? And third, as Unitarian Universalists, what can we claim about the meaning of Christmas? So the Christmas story itself is full of legend and debate. We have 4 Gospels in the Bible, 4 tellings of the life of Jesus, 3 which we call the Synoptic Gospels because they so closely parallel each other that they seem to be telling the same story. But the Gospel of Mark, which is the oldest Gospel and thus written closest in time to Jesus' life, it begins with Jesus as an adult. There's no birth story in there. The Gospel of Luke, am I getting mixed up? The Gospel of Matthew begins with Jesus' lineage and with an angel appearing to Joseph and telling him not to divorce Mary because she's really pregnant with the Holy Spirit, and then moves on to the story of the Magi visiting. And we don't have the birth story in Matthew either. 3 of the Gospels that are called the Synoptic Gospels with that overlap, the only one of them has really much of the birth story that we tell in it. And then it's only in Luke that we have the story of the angel appearing to Mary and the journey to Bethlehem and the giving birth in the stable and the angels appearing to the shepherds. Luke, the non-synoptic gospel written later. So it's only there in that one. And it's worth noting that what we've added onto the story that isn't in there at all. For instance, there's no mention of Mary riding a donkey. The donkey is something we add later. There's no mention of an inn, actually. It just says that there was no available guest room. Totally no innkeeper in the Bible standing there with a sign saying no vacancy. That's not there. There's no camels in the story of the Magi. That's, again, something we add later. We take this story and we add into it things that will make it make sense for us, that make it make sense in our current cultural context. And then there's things in the story that we don't mention and don't pay any attention to. Like, we don't talk about Jesus' circumcision. That's in there. And the fact that he wasn't actually named until the 8th day with that naming ceremony that happens then. And there's no mention of the story of, the whole slaughter of the innocents that happened with Herod. So the fact that the story is not completely told in any one gospel, and each part of it that we do tell is divided between 2 or 3, depending if you count that part with Joseph, gives scholars a reason to pause and think that this is a story added later. So we ask ourselves, why was this story added later? Why would this story get added on in Matthew and Luke? Matthew is telling us to show the story that Jesus was prophesied in Isaiah. Theologian Bart Ehrman writes, for Matthew, the virgin birth principally shows that Jesus' birth was fulfillment of a divine plan, as revealed by the fact that up and down the line it fulfilled prophecy. Luke, he says, has a different purpose. Luke is the one gospel that is pointed to for an example of proof of the Trinity, the one most clearly saying Jesus is God. So Ehrman writes, in his case, Luke's, the virgin birth has a completely different function. Jesus is born of a virgin because it is the Spirit of God that made Mary pregnant, not a human being, so that, in this very literal sense, Jesus is the Son of God. So this story is added on by different people for different reasons. My take is this. The early Christians didn't understand Jesus to be born of a virgin or the Son of God, but his followers knew he was special, a profound teacher, and he had died. So after his death, and as they're continuing to spread his teaching, they reach into the realm of narrative and myth and prophecy to explain Jesus to people, to explain how this man was so important. Jesus is the one who was foretold, they claim. Jesus is the one who was born from God, they claim. And this makes sense in the world that they're operating in. This is a world where Hercules is the son of God. This is a story where the god Zeus comes down often and impregnates people, not always by their will. God is doing this to Mary, and they're using the cultural terms of their day. That's a way of saying, hey, this guy we're telling you about, yeah, he had a special birth too, like you hear about the heroes of our age. Were we meant to take this literally? I'm not sure. I think a lot of the Bible was written with a very different understanding of literalism than we have today. I think the Jewish scriptures were written in an age where it was understood that the way you explain the world is through story. And the very concept of saying this is the literal word of God wasn't really a concept in the way we think of it. And by the time we get to Jesus, that's changed a bit, but it's still a poetic worldview, a storytelling worldview that works under wholly different rules than we're operating under. So the Bible being contradictory or incomplete or having different narratives, that wasn't an issue because they were making points, different points than with what they were emphasizing and not trying to tell us one absolute golden truth. With all of this, I turn to a different sort of mythical system. The Christmas created by the Unitarian Charles Dickens and the later myths and legends of our age. The central story for me of what makes Christmas Christmas isn't really the gospel story. It's a Christmas carol, where we learn how ghosts visit a miser and turn him to a path that is more charitable and loving. And it's the story of Rudolph, who visits the island of misfit toys and overcomes bullying to be a hero of the night. And it's the Grinch, whose heart grows 3 sizes when he learns that without those trappings of commercialism, Christmas still comes. And I do see the message of Jesus in Scrooge and the Grinch and Rudolph and in the figure of Santa Claus. And the truth of the Christmas story for me, the truth of what Christmas is about, is in what it became over the centuries. And not what really happened on a not December night, not exactly 24 years ago, not exactly in a snowy season, and not even necessarily under one bright and shining star. But the message that is still there under the same heavens we're living under today. We can pull apart the layers of Christmas, but I prefer to celebrate the good values we hold up at this time of year. Family, peace, love, joy, hope, anti-bullying, the Christ child fleeing as an immigrant with his family, the power of supporting an impoverished young family through the hard times, the message of resisting the power and dangerous, hostile empire. There's still a lot we have to gain from Christmas. May we embrace that soul of the season today. Our closing hymn is a newfangled Christmas song, and some of us who are in the really we love Christmas camp might not like the more newfangled ones, but let's embrace it with all the joy that is the diversity of the season. Number 224, Let Christmas Come. And then what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Let's go in that spirit and enjoy coffee hour.
He